Good morning and welcome to our Sunday morning service. Whether you are joining us in person or online, we are delighted you're here and we hope you'll come again. There are many ways to become an active participant in our vibrant faith community. As always, Membership and Engagement Committee members and I are here to help you connect with our congregation in ways that feed your spirit and bring you joy. If you would like to set up a time to explore engagement possibilities and/or learn more about becoming a member, please contact me, Tina Lewis at tlewis@unitytemple.org. I am happy to meet with you in person or on Zoom or by phone. You may also fill out a visitor form on the website at www.unitytemple.org or stop by the welcome table in the foyer after service to talk with a volunteer and fill a form out there. We look forward to getting to know you, and we hope you enjoy the service.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Lee. My pronouns are he, him, and I serve on your Board of Trustees. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you here this morning. While masks are no longer required, we do still recommend them as a way to protect each other. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you better. We invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join our in-person community time immediately following the service. Each week, we remind ourselves of our congregation's core values: connection, transformation, justice, and acceptance. Our mission is to embody these core values in our daily lives by welcoming all, inspiring compassion, nurturing wonder, and serving community. This week, last week, the board had its monthly meeting in order to prepare to cover many things, including preparing for the annual meeting that we have coming up on December 11th. One of the things that we discussed was looking at the 2023 budget, and we have some choices to make with regards to that budget. But ultimately, we are going to recommend for the annual meeting a budget that will hopefully take into account the results of the annual fund drive. We're about 2/3 or so of the way through the fund drive. We appreciate everyone who has submitted their pledge forms already, and we encourage those of you who have not done so to please do so as soon as you can. We will have our regular Reflecting with the Board session tomorrow night on Zoom. That's an opportunity for us as board members to hear from you about your concerns or questions that you may have. We also will have two pre-annual meeting workshops on November 28th and December 4th. There's more information about all that in your emails. We are so glad that you are here with us today. We hope you find the service inspiring and meaningful. I invite you now to take a moment to greet one another, both online and in the sanctuary.
Good morning. You give it to me, I'll read it during the joys and sorrows. That's a more appropriate time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Our chalice lighters this morning are Ruby and Isla Hansen. Ruby's favorite color is red, and she likes to play soccer. And Isla's favorite color is the rainbow, and she likes to make crafts. I invite you all to join in lighting our chalice. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. we take care of the planet Earth and each other. Our opening words this morning are from David Blanchard, slightly edited. Come down off that ladder, wash out that paintbrush, shake the sand or the snow out of your shoes. Get up off your knees and trust that the garden is at rest for the season. Fold up the newspaper, turn off the coffee pot, close up your calendar already filled with dates and times and people and places that claim you. This congregation is ready for you to fill its rooms, to create its spirit, to generate its warmth, and to kindle its light. This church is ready for you to make community, to bend it towards justice, to create beauty, and to serve its ideals. This church is ready for you to be here, honoring our past, invigorating our present, and dreaming of our future. This is your faith community. Here we are home. Here we are whole. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, and wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. Please rise and body your spirit and join me in singing hymn number 348, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Please join me in the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To seek together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
This microphone is getting a workout today with Stephen and I. We're singing up, down, and up, and down, and up, and down. Holding each other, also called joys and sorrows, is the time in our service where we pause to share and reflect on the moments in our lives that have moved or touched our spirits throughout this week. As a community whose mission commits us to inspiring compassion in our lives and in our community, we wish to companion you and sit with you in times of joy and sorrow. Next week, we will be inviting you to try a different way of doing this part of the service. There will be a binder outside the doors to the sanctuary, and those of you who attend in person will be invited to write your joy or your sorrow in the binder. You can still email them to us, but this is another way of being able to share your joy or your sorrow. For those of you who are with us online, we will review what's in the chat this week, and we'll write those joys and sorrows into the binder so that we can share them at the pulpit out loud next week. So what you write in the chat today will be shared in the sanctuary next week. Next week, after all the joys and sorrows are read aloud from the binder, anyone who has a joy or a sorrow on their heart will be invited to come forward and there will be stones that we can drop into a bowl of water. And so anybody who has a joy or a sorrow will be invited to do this next week. And as people are coming forward to drop stones in the bowl, the congregation will sing together. Again, this is the plan for next week. I find surprised people tend to react poorly when there's change in a beloved part of the service. So I'm letting you know. I learn. For this morning, Marty Swisher shares the joy that she donated the flowers today in honor of the birthdays of her son, Stephen Michael Swisher, and her grandson, Robert Michael Swisher. We know that there are many joys and sorrows beyond those that I just read that are present in this community. Let us hold them in our hearts as we enter together into a moment of prayer. And this is a responsive prayer. And so after each phrase in this prayer, which is by Amy Petrie Shaw, after each phrase, I invite you to respond with the words, "We lift up our hearts." Can you say that with me? We lift up our hearts. Spirit of life and love, for all who give their lives for others, we lift up our hearts. For all who go on in honor of the dead, we lift up our hearts. For all who have served in whatever capacity, we lift up our hearts. For our country and for our world, we lift up our hearts. For a planet that it might find peace, we lift up our hearts. For the young and for the innocent, we lift up our hearts. For the weary and the war-torn, we lift up our hearts. For those who would pray, we lift up our hearts. For those too angry to cry, we lift up our hearts. For all of us, for the many names of the divine, we lift up our hearts. Peace, shalom, shanti. Amen. For our message for all ages today, I'm going to ask all of you to stay in your seats this week. This is the last week we're going to ask you to stay in your seats, I promise. But I want you to be able to see the screen behind me. So Friday was Veterans Day, a national holiday, and I want you to watch a quick video on what a veteran is, because a lot of us don't necessarily know.
Thank you, veterans. What is a veteran? A veteran is someone who has served in the armed forces. Every U.S. veteran has served in one of the 6 branches of the armed forces: the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and Space Force. Each branch has a different job to do. For example, the Army mostly works on land. The Air Force works in the sky. People in the Air Force fly planes and helicopters. People in the Navy, the Marines, and the Coast Guard all spend a lot of time at sea, but they can have other jobs too. For example, some people in the Navy fly jets. The branches are separate, but they often work together. They might work as a team to rescue someone who is hurt at sea. The President of the United States is in charge of all the branches. Under the Constitution, the President is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. On November 11th, we celebrate Veterans Day. We honor men and women who have served in the armed forces. We honor veterans because they trained hard to do their jobs. Some were medics and helped people who were hurt. Some drove tanks. And some people even worked on submarines. All of them were brave. You might know a veteran. Maybe someone in your family or in your neighborhood is a veteran. We can say thank you to veterans every day of the year. But Veterans Day is an especially great time to do it. Thank you, veterans.
So many of us have someone in our family here in this congregation who have served in the military. In my family, we have a broad tradition of serving in the military. My grandfather served in the Air Force. My grandmother was a Marine. My other grandfather served in the Navy, and then so did his son, my father, my dad. And my father-in-law was in the Coast Guard. And I know a number of folks here at Unity Temple served in the military or have loved ones who have as well. Bonnie Jerkowski's father, William, served in the U.S. Army Air Corps, which became the Air Force. And her late husband, Donald, served in the Marine Corps, and so did their daughter. Ron Moline served in the Army. Stephen Jordan served in the Marines. Ed White served in the Marines. Tom Hall served in the Army. Cletus Conrad, the father of Amy Conrad, served in the Navy. Tom Barnes served in the Army. And I bet there are more. So I invite all of you who have served, who are veterans, to please rise. And we can thank you for your service. And now I invite all of you who have loved ones who have served in the military in some capacity to also rise so that we can see that all our lives have been touched by veterans. Thank you. In the service today, we will be talking about how it is important for people to feel useful and helpful, and how there are a lot of different ways that we can make that happen. So you can ask your parents and loved ones about that after the service. What did they learn about feeling important and useful and helpful? Okay? All right, I now invite children to go to their religious education classes. That is quite a crew we have today. Service comes in many forms, and I am excited to now bless the service of some members of this congregation who are participating in a new ministry of the congregation, the spiritual care team. I invite forward Diana Coates, Emma Farrell, Jeff Rupas, Jay Cohen, Jay Peterson, Matt Brown, and Tristan Hansen. And as they are coming forward, let me tell you a little bit about this new team. The spiritual care team is the next evolution of the pastoral associates. Applications for this new team were accepted back in early summer, though at that time we didn't really have a name for what this team was going to be called. Reverend Emily and I selected these 7 applicants, and over the past few months, they have been participating in pastoral care training provided by the Unitarian Universalist Association and supported by Reverend Emily and I. The spiritual care team is a resource for you, the congregation. They are trained in deep listening, in being with you and companioning you through life's transitions. Working with Reverend Emily and I, they are an arm of the ministry, our representatives for times when she or I can't be there for whatever reason. Are you worried about something happening in your life? Perhaps you have just brought home a new baby and need someone to listen as you process all the feelings you are experiencing. Or you are contemplating retirement, but your job has always defined you, so you aren't sure what is next. Or maybe it isn't so much about what's happening as much as it is about how to find meaning and purpose when there are challenges and transitions in your own life, or when you contemplate the pain and sorrow of the world. The spiritual care team, these folks right here, are here to listen deeply, confidentially, and meet you where you are and assist you in helping to find the way forward. And if you would like support from the spiritual care team, there are several ways you'll be able to reach them. Their names are in the order of service, and you can contact any of them individually. Or you can know them by their name tags. They will be getting new name tags that have spiritual care team member printed in purple on them. Or you can contact me and I will connect you with them, or you can reach them at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. As an extension of the ministry of this congregation, it is suitable that you commission your new spiritual care team and that we formally bless their service in the congregation. And so I invite you, the congregation, online and in person, to refer to your order of service for the ritual of commissioning. Diana, Emma, Jeff, Jay, Matt, and Tristan, we come here today to commission you as pastoral caregivers as part of the spiritual care team of Unity Temple Unitarian Universalist Congregation. As one of the ministers of this congregation, I am grateful for your willingness to serve in this role, to be an extension of the ministry of this congregation.
Celebrate with compassion to you, our fellow congregants. We will tend to the sacred in our encounters. We will companion you in joy and sorrow. Listen deeply to what is tugging at your hearts or lifting your spirits. We offer to bear witness to your journeys within a container of kindness and love.
I charge you as members of the spiritual care team to care for yourselves and one another, and to ask for help when you need it, and to always remember that you are an essential part of the ministry of this congregation. May you know that your care is powerful. May you know that the ministers are here to guide you and support you, and may you know that you are enough. We now commission you as our spiritual care team. Thank you for all you will give. Blessed be. And now I will hand out their name tags. If I can get them out of my pocket. There we go. All right. Emma, and Matt, and Jay, and Tristan, and Diana, and Jay, and Jeff. All right, as I said earlier, if you would like support from the spiritual care team, we invite you to reach out to them directly or through me, or to email spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. Thank you, all of you, for your service to this congregation. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. That was lovely. In the hymnal, the hard one, number 567, you don't need to turn to it, is an excerpt from one of my favorite poems, To Be of Use by Marge Piercy. The excerpt is lovely, and you can look at it if you want. I am grateful because it led me to the whole poem, and it is the whole poem that I would like to introduce you to if you are not familiar with it. So here is the whole poem. The people I love best jump into work head first without dallying in the shallows and swim off with sure strokes almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black, sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands and crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real. There is so much that I love about this poem, about how the work may be common as mud, about how we strain to move things forward. Oh, these days when it feels like we're fighting battles that we thought we had won years ago, it is good to be reminded that we often have to just do what must be done again and again. At our core, we human beings cry for work that is real, work that has meaning. At our best, we yearn to be of service to something that is bigger than ourselves as individuals. Perhaps it is our family or loved ones. Perhaps we yearn to be of service to our religious faith or our country. Perhaps we serve a set of values and ideals, or maybe we serve the mysterious, the numinous divine. When I think of this poem by Marge Piercy, I can't help but think about how acts of service has been identified as one of 5 different love languages. We will gladly, joyfully serve that which we love, even when it is hard, perhaps especially when it is hard, because service is a form of action. And as the folk singer Joan Baez famously said, action is the antidote to despair. To serve something we love is a way to stave off despair. It is a way to align our actions with our values. And as we heard time and again from the stewardship testimonials in October, when we serve, we may start off just thinking we are giving of ourselves, but in fact, we get so much in return. And what we receive is, in part, this knowledge that we have been of use, that we have been engaged in work that has meaning, that is real, that we have in our own small way made a difference to something or someone that we love. Now, of course, sometimes service is not so fulfilling, either because we feel taken for granted or because we may come to believe that we are causing harm, or perhaps it just doesn't feed us anymore. When that is the case, it is time for discernment. We must consider, is it time to move on, or is there a way to transform our service in some way? And I think the spiritual care team might just be available to help you with that discernment. But even if our service is not feeding us the way it used to anymore, this does not negate the human need to be of use. Instead, it may just require a shift in how or what we serve. Today, we recognized and uplifted how 7 people have come from within this congregation to serve you through their time, their dedication, through their work as the spiritual care team. This team is just one of the many, many ways to serve this congregation. Others of you serve on the board, in leadership, on teams and committees. You serve this congregation because you love it. And you want it to achieve its vision and mission of welcoming all, of inspiring compassion, nurturing wonder, and serving community. And there's that word again, service. Friday was Veterans Day, and as we saw earlier, nearly all of us have either served ourselves or have loved ones who have served our country through military service. Now, I know that we Unitarian Universalists often have had a complicated relationship with the military because of its relationship to war and to suffering. I hope, though, that we can agree that no matter what our views are on the military-industrial complex, we can honor and be grateful for those who are called by love to serve the ideals and values that are enshrined in our Constitution. Ideals we haven't met yet, but keep working towards. We may also serve the ideals of our country through protesting, through holding our elected leaders accountable, through making sure people can exercise their constitutional right to vote, through pulling like water buffalo with massive patience. The moral arc of the universe may indeed be long, but it is through our action, our service, that we put our hands upon it and bend it towards justice. The pitcher cries for water to carry and a person for work that is real. May we move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. May we sing while hammering a nail and pulling every weed. May we dedicate ourselves to serving that which we love, and may that service satisfy us, restore us, and working all together, may our service build the world for which we yearn. May it be so. May we make it so.
I'm Mary Lou Guyan, and I've been a member of Unity Temple for over 10 years. Each week, we give our Sunday offering to an organization that aligns with our Unitarian Universalist values. This week, our offering goes to a nonprofit, RIP Medical Debt. RIP buys bundled medical debt at a steep discount, millions of dollars at a time at a fraction of the original cost. This means that each donation relieves about 100 times its value in medical debt. RIP Medical Debt targets individuals most in need, those earning less than 4 times the federal poverty level or whose debts total more than 5% of their annual income. Recipients receive letters, and just like that, their medical debt has been relieved. with no tax consequences or penalties to consider. To date, RIP medical debt has relieved individuals of more than $7 billion in medical debt. You may donate online at ripmedicaldebt.org by using your camera phone to scan the QR code on the screen, by placing check or cash in the collection baskets that are now being passed, or by mailing a check to the Unity Temple office with RIP medical debt on the memo line. May what you give bring you joy.
Mary Lou shared with me before the service that she will generously be matching our collection to RIP medical debt this morning. Thank you, all of you. Thank you all for your generosity.
Please rise in body and spirit and join me in singing 1060 in the teal hymnal as we sing of hope and joy. It's new to our congregation, and we will not be singing the third verse, 1, 2, and 4.
You may be seated. Singing new songs is hard. Thank you for that endeavor with me. You never know how it's going to go. Each week, we say that love is the doctrine of this congregation and that service is its prayer. May you go forth today and always knowing that you are both lovable and that you are loved, and may you serve the world by bringing that love out into it. And now please join with me in the words of our chalice extinguishing. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.